3,750 pounds, little Freedom Express 17 Blast Special Edition here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan. AZDEL laminated sidewalls, carpetless, ventless flooring, huge pass-through capacity, and the ramp door on the back for toy hauler functionality, or frankly, it doesn't have to be motorcycles and ATVs. It could be bikes and kayaks, or just tons of cargo, or dog crates could frankly go in and out of this thing pretty easily. And the fact that this thing is short, but with a tandem axle, with the stability of an 8-foot wide platform, yet only 3,750 pounds, means this is going to be a towing and going dream machine. One of the first things I want to point out here, mostly because it's a little tricky to work with while I'm doing the rest of my video tour, is this easy on, easy off, magnetic rear screen wall. This thing is absolutely awesome. It's so easy to put up and down. There's just these are heavy duty corner magnets right here. Like you can see, it picked a staple up from the factory, but fact is, bam, it clips on there and it ain't going anywhere. And there's about 6 or 7 of those magnets around here that just grab onto that steel door opening, and it makes it a very, easy on, easy off sort of way to put a screen wall up, as opposed to those like ones where you have to roll them up, like you were in the Boy Scouts and you're trying to do like a sleeping bag or something. I don't like those things. I'm not good at sleeping bags. I'm not good at putting maps back together. This is simple. This is easy. You can take it down. You can fold it up. You can store it in the pass-through when you're not using it. And it also has, if you notice, it has this handy little zipper right here. Now, you kind of need 2 hands to do it. But the fact is you can leave this unzipped or zip it up and down as you want for an easy pass-through in and out. And what's neat is it really turns your toy hauler into something of a rollin' 3 seasons room, which is very, very nice if you are going to use this off-grid where you don't have park hookups or you don't want to run a generator, so you're going to lose out on the AC. That extra airflow will be your bestest buddy. But the big question with any sort of toy hauler, really, is what can I put in it? This is really designed for something like kayaks. You could slide a kayak up between the kitchen and counter and bathroom wall up toward that bed and be able to put yourself, I don't know, a 10, 12 footer in here, something like that. If you leaned it up on top of the bed, you could probably get a larger 14-foot model in there. You'd be perfectly fine for like 1 4-wheeler, 1 motorcycle or something like that, or maybe even just common like bikes, like road bikes or bicycles or something like that. The biggest question that you're going to have to watch out for, if you start looking at things like golf carts and side-by-sides, you have to remember the height of this door opening right here. You want to make sure that you're not going to try to run anything in and out of here that's a little too tall for the height of that opening, because it gets taller inside the RV. It's 6'9" inside, but the doorway is not 6'9". So a little tip from your Uncle Josh right there. Full size roof AC up top. You see LED lighting all over, pretty common stock, so I'm not going to belabor that point too much. What I want to zero in on over here, though, is the fact that you have 1 seat with 4 configurations. And if you notice, they're spending a little bit more money on the hardware of this thing on this Freedom Express, so that folding it up and down is about as easy as it comes. It's one of the smoother, buttery feeling, easy operating sort of toy hauler, rollover, flip down, up, and whatever jackknife sofas you've ever seen. So right now, obviously, it folds up out of the way to make for extra loading space. And with the simple click of a buckle strap, and then you just drop this thing right down. What's neat is the mechanical aspects on this right here. What I was saying about how they spend a little more money on it. You don't have to like manually drop any of these support legs. They will kick down on their own as you drop the sofa. So if you need an extra space here for like, you need an extra flat cargo space, or if you are going to have like a guest over, or you're doing some buddy camping. This is a common camper of this size where, like a guy will own this, and then he'll take his buddy with him, they'll go to the dunes or something like that. This way you have 2 separate beds, which is something I don't think a lot of buddies like to bunk up with one another. But I think when you reach your destination, most of the time you're going to leave it folded down like this, so it gives you that nice little daytime seating position. And it does come with this little floating table here, which you can use inside or outside, however you see fit. So if you need to sit down and have a place to eat, you got a spot for that too. Also, I want to point out we got our D-rings. We have 6 of them all over the floor back here. And up here against the furnace and refrigerator sort of wall, there is a power outlet hidden down there. So if you're looking for a phone charger or something like that next to this sofa, you've got a great spot for that too. Even though this is a more simple series, they do still dress it up with the nicer pleated blackout shades. And notice that is a breeze-through window. Plus, being a hauler, you do have the little two-way air vents here. so that if your bike or your four-wheeler or whatever, if it blows some exhaust fumes into this thing, you can get that aired out before you get to your destination, so it doesn't smell like a garage in here when you're trying to sleep, you know? What is neat here is this still has a full-size 6 cubic foot fridge freezer. And it would have been very easy for them to say, well, this is a small camper, we're going to give it a small fridge. But they didn't. They gave it a full-size one, and they still included in it the magnet-friendly metallic fridge inserts. It's just those extra little things that you kind of appreciate over time. Directly across from the sofa out here, we do have an easy viewing pivot-out HD TV included. They still take care of your entertainment needs even here in a simple series, and that is an AM, FM, CD, DVD, Bluetooth little stereo job below it, with a great little pocket there if you want to turn that into a bit of a phone charging station. Now, everything open here in the back section behind the kitchen is mostly pretty barren. Like, that's the wheel well that we're looking at, but that's by design. They wanted to make sure that you have as much open loading space as possible, and everything else is pretty minimal and up out of the way. But what's nice is they're doing all the exact same cabinet work here that they're doing all the way up into a Freedom Express Liberty Edition, even though this is the SE, theoretically 2 trim packages below. We still have all hardwood cabinet door framing. We still have pocket screwed styles that you can feel back here, and we even still have the nicer hidden hinges. And where those are actually really cool is if the door does happen to bounce open a little bit in transit, it will mostly try to keep itself closed, just like it did right there. Coachmen has done this for decades, is the sealed edge countertops. And you notice here, though, that they have recently, even in the SEs, updated to a stainless steel sink, which is a nice upgrade. And I do like that big kitchen breeze window. And by the way, there are power outlets under that overhead cabinet, very common in laminated RV construction. One of the things that I really like here, though, is what I like to call the Freedom Express utensil drawer. And it's kind of a legal requirement, I have to say it like that. But it's the perfect place for things like forks, spoons, and knives. Your utensils actually have a home now, which in a lot of RVs, they don't. And what's nice is it wraps around that nice stainless steel sink so that there's never, like, any space wasted. And down here, they kind of do the same thing. They utilize every ounce they can. Now, you can see how this is partially blocked off. That's because there's probably something like the water pump down there where they don't want cargo shifting and breaking it. Another storage pocket below the microwave, but notice how the microwave is in what would traditionally be the oven's location. This is a smaller coach, space is limited, and they wanted to make sure that you maintained all the cabinet space they could, so they didn't kill half of that with a microwave. Instead, they said, well, I know that some people use an oven, but we know that most people do not. So they sacrificed the oven, moved the microwave down there, which frankly, considering this trailer is extra tall, this cabinet's higher anyway, unless you're super tall like me, like if you have any sort of hot liquid in a container, it's a little less safe having it up high. But they brought back the little hardwood food grade bamboo sort of cutting board system here. So this is great for maximizing prep space, although you can just sort of flip it up out of the way. And there you go. There's your little stovetop situation. Just, guys, please be a little bit smart. If you just got done cooking and this thing's searing hot, don't just put the wood thing on top of it. I don't think that that's going to catch on fire, unless you left the flames on, which at that point, that's just error on your part. But the fact is, I don't want you to, like, kind of toast up the bottom of it and leave your camper smelling like, you know, splinters and wood for a while. Now, up front here, we do have a little corner bed that is sort of a necessity to keep this thing at the length and weight target they were looking for. But what's nice is, if I peel this back, you see you've got some nice headboard storage here with outlets. How about CPAP friendliness in a little bitty toy hauler? That's a hard find. Now, remember that little magnet screen thing? This is all the space it takes up, and frankly, if I wadded that up a little bit more, I could probably tuck it around that corner so that you'd never see it. This is a nice cross breeze sort of situation here. You can leave that screen wall or one of the kitchen windows open, have this open at your feet, and have some nice airflow plowing through. Now, most RVs that have a layout like this have what's called a wet bath. Wet bath is when the toilet is in the shower. It's in the shower pan. It's smaller than this. Now, this is tight. This is cozy. But this is a separate toilet and separate shower. But remember, with this being 6'9" tall, Freedom Expresses are a little taller than most. That means that even a big person like me can get in here, can get in the shower, and I don't have to worry about, like, my head hitting anything is just much, much more comfortable in here for me. The white-on-white exterior that you're looking at here will help keep this thing so much cooler in the direct hot summer sun as compared to a darker skin package. And until very recently in Freedom Express history, they did have a nice tan skin package. And frankly, they held up pretty well in the sun, but I think this is just going to do even better. Now, you've got that east-west bed. One of the benefits of that is that you get this ridiculous monster storage passing through all the way under that bed there. And you can see that you do have a simple side mount solar prep plug right there. So if you want to throw a little solar suitcase in that thing to zip down the road and get yourself off-grid friendly, well, she's a little more capable than most of doing so with that huge compartment, leaving you room for a lot of things. Again, we are an 8-foot body. Usually in this size range, you start running into a lot of narrow body stuff. And Freedom Express is always on an 8-foot wide platform. And on a short length like this with tandem axles, you gain extra stability from wider stance 8-foot wide axles than you would a narrow body. Now behind this is an Apex Nano, not a toy hauler, just happens to be an Apex, which is the Freedom Express's, you could say, little sister. And that's on a 7.5-foot wide platform, a little more narrow. And a lot of times, you know, 7.5 wide campers people like because it doesn't feel as bulky and imposing behind your vehicle. But again, wider stance axles. Think of it like if you're trying to stay sturdy and steady, you spread your legs out, don't you? Well, that's what wider stance, like 8-foot wide axles versus 7-foot wide axles will do for you. Up front here, just like all the other Freedom Expresses, we do like to throw a power tongue jack on these. I believe that is an upgrade here that we've applied just so that you don't have to do the manual cranking yourself and it's fast and it's easy. They put their spare tire on the tongue. All Freedom Expresses do that, but it is exceptionally beneficial here on a toy hauler model because there's no bumper to move it to even if you wanted to, although you do have the ability there to nice battery rack to add 2 batteries for off-grid use where you so incline. So I've mentioned the word AZDEL earlier on, but if you don't know what that is, it is a Luan material substitute that goes under the fiberglass skin. It is basically, it's a resin. It's melted pop bottles primarily, and that's pretty much true. It is lighter weight. It can't rot, mold, mildew. It also has some neat tertiary benefits, such as the fact that it is a little bit more sound dampening. So if the ramp door is closed, it'll keep it a little quieter, more comfortable in your camper. It also has a slightly better resistance quality to a little bit better R value than a common Luan. I don't believe that there's a massive difference there, but you know, I'll take what you can get. So you can see how this is a max width ramp door. Remember too that this is an 8-foot wide camper, so you should never have trouble loading something in this. Like you'll never have to worry about, can I squeeze between the door or anything like that. One thing you really need to remember, someone's gonna say, can I fit my side-by-side in here? Remember that this is not extra tall. Like well, even other members of the Freedom Express Blast series, or like a full-on wolf pack, or what I call a, quote, true toy hauler. So you just have to make sure that the door width back here, or door height rather, will fit whatever widget you're trying to squeeze inside of it. We're going to talk all about this awning. It's great and all. But one thing I want to point out here, I've referred to this earlier as like the simplified edition Freedom Express, but what I like is they still do everything that really matters. Like they're not using just the little metal on metal flip over sort of ramp gate latch system that requires a padlock. They're using this nicer positive latch system. So I don't have this locked, but the gate, the handle basically locks itself. So even if you don't use the key lock, which first of all, how cool is it the fact that this has a built-in key lock instead of needing padlocks that can rust up and be a nightmare to deal with sometimes. Instead, you've got this system right here. It's just easier, safer, smarter, longer lasting. I think anybody who's ever had one is going to appreciate it. So there is LED lighting under the base of that awning. It runs the full length of the awning. It's not the world's largest awning, but this is not the world's largest camper either. They gave you the biggest awning they frankly possibly could. So you've got decent patio space here. Plus remember, you do have that 3-season sort of screen wall on the back to help you give you some great off-grid friendly airflow. Over here too, there's that free-floating table we talked about inside. You can move that thing anywhere you want. It has the sealed edge pressed membrane material just like the rest of the RV. So even if it's a humid day, it's not going to swell up and absorb water and cause problems. And it makes the perfect little TV stand if you want to utilize those outdoor TV hookups right there. So we already saw the pass-through and the solar prep. Guys, I think we just about got her nailed. This is small, but it's smart. And that's what I like about it. It does everything it needs to and nothing it doesn't. It's what I call all thriller, no filler. So, if you like what you see, or if you like what you saw maybe over here in the background, for instance, give us a call here at Haylett RV. We do it all. Hitching, pieces, parts, trades, finance, truck and trailer package deals, RV delivery, and everything in between. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.